Several new national polls give former Vice President Joe Biden at least a 7-point edge over President Trump. The latest Quinnipiac poll has Biden up 10, 52 to 42%. The new CNN SSRS poll has Biden up 8, 51 to 43%. USA Today Suffolk University has Biden ahead by 7 points, 50 to 43. And the latest Grinnell College poll that we showed you yesterday has Biden with an 8-point lead over President Trump, 49 to 41. But look at this new polling from some key battleground states. This is important. Overall, the latest CNN SSRS poll has Biden up by 5 over President Trump in 15 battleground states, 50 to 45%. A statistical tie within the poll's 5.4 margin of error. The latest Fox News poll out of Arizona has Biden up 9 points over Trump, 49 to 40%. In Pennsylvania, the latest Monmouth University poll gives Biden a 4-point edge over Trump, 49 to 45%. That's a statistical tie. In North Carolina, the Fox News poll finds Biden with a 4-point lead, 50 to 46%. And in Wisconsin, Fox News polling gives Biden an 8-point edge over Trump in Wisconsin, 50 to 42%. Morning Consult shows Biden with a 10-point lead in Wisconsin, 52 to 42%. Joe, why does Wisconsin in this polling matter?
I mean, Wisconsin obviously matters because Kenosha has been at the forefront of the nation's attention over the past week or so. The president has cynically tried to use race to try to divide. He's done just about everything that you would hope, and that Republicans before Donald Trump came into office would hope a president would not do, and that is to try to stir unrest. And it is not working. This strategy is not working. We said it wasn't working before. And Jonathan Lemire, you look at these numbers in Wisconsin, and I think this is a repeat of June the 1st, where the president cynically tries to use the law and order card. It blows up in his face politically, even while his staff members are high-fiving each other in the White House, thinking they've done something really cool, something really smart. Well, you look into these polls, and you look into this Fox News poll, and Joe Biden is ahead by 5 points on the issue of policing and on the issue of basically law and order. So Biden's winning straight up in these polls by 9 or 10 points. In fact, he's putting pretty good distance between himself and Donald Trump. And also, more specifically, he's winning on the so-called law and order issues.
It does feel like deja vu all over again, which is a Yogi Bear reference, which is even older than Fletch. I can do these.
Okay, you can.
But I think that it is. We have seen the president. The president has tried this play before. I think the most important thing to note on those Wisconsin polls, Joe, are the dates. These are taken post-Kenosha, solely post-Kenosha. Yeah. So this very much reflects what we've seen on the ground there. And so far, anyway, the argument that the president has tried to make has not resonated. We saw him in Kenosha, of course, earlier this week with not a word for the underlying cause of the disturbance, the protests, i.e. the violence that black men have suffered at the hands of police. We know that Joe Biden is going to Kenosha today, which will certainly be a big moment for him and a test of basically his central argument for his candidacy of presidency, that he is his candidacy for president, that he is indeed the compassionate, he can listen, he understands grief, he's trying to bring the nation together, which of course has been the ethos since day one when he said that it was Charlottesville and the president's response to that drove him into the race. But looking across the map, Joe, we are seeing consistent leads for the former vice president in all of these battleground state polls. The national polls, as we know, matter less, but they do tend to track some momentum, and they've largely held steady. Maybe the president picked up a point or two since his convention, but at most, and even then, it's making a margin go from 10 to 9 or 8. It's largely stayed the same. But more importantly, the margins have stayed the same in the battlegrounds and even grown for the most part for the former vice president, except for maybe Pennsylvania. We saw some tightening in that one particular poll, but maybe it's an outlier. But right now, the state of the race is where it was a few weeks ago. Is Donald Trump within striking distance? Sure. But right now, despite the conventions and the chaos in the streets, Joe Biden still ahead.
And there have been some trends. Arizona has been breaking slowly but surely Joe Biden's way. They're feeling far more confident about Arizona, and the Trump campaign is starting to worry more about Arizona because there has been a definite break. And post-convention, Joe Biden's up 9 points now in a state that Donald Trump thought 6 months ago was in the bag for him. You can say in the opposite direction, Pennsylvania has tightened up and has gotten tighter in many polls. I've got to say, I've always expected Florida to tighten up, which it is doing. I've always expected North Carolina to stay tight. I've always expected Arizona in the end to tighten up as well, even though I think Biden certainly is looking better there. But I am surprised. I will say I am surprised by those numbers in Pennsylvania. If you look at Philadelphia, if you look at the Philly suburbs, where Biden is likely going to roll up huge numbers. You go to Scranton, which was a former, which obviously is where Joe Biden is from. He's going to outperform how Democrats have done in the past. I mean, Pennsylvania should be a Biden state. So that tightening up is very interesting. But you look at Arizona again, you look at Wisconsin, you look at Michigan. These are states that are starting to solidly go into Joe Biden's column, which is, as Jonathan Lemire and I were discussing last night, is why you're starting to hear Donald Trump talk a little bit about Minnesota, because he's got to find a place to expand the map. If he's going to lose Arizona, he's got to pick up those points elsewhere.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.